8 kilos. That's all it takes. Not a mansion, not a yacht, not even a new car. 8 kilos of cocaine sitting in a federal evidence lockup. And you standing over a clipboard with a pen in your hand and a number that doesn't add up. The junior agent miscounted. Nobody else noticed. And for one long, nauseating heartbeat, you realized that the difference between the man you thought you were and the man you're about to become is nothing but a stroke of a pen. You've been a federal agent for a decade. You've worked operations in places most people only see in thrillers. You've buried colleagues, watched informants disappear, sat in surveillance vans for 18 hours eating cold sandwiches, all in the name of something you used to call a purpose. You wore the badge like it was part of your skeleton, like removing it would mean removing yourself. And then life just ground you down. The divorce didn't announce itself with a single explosion. It happened slowly, the way rust eats metal. Years of missed dinners, unanswered calls, a wife who stopped waiting by the window because she finally accepted you weren't coming. She took most of what you'd built together. You kept the badge shoulder from that arrest gone wrong in Arizona. And a silence so thick in your apartment that you started leaving the TV on just to feel less alone. The money started making noise around the same time. You'd watch dealers get walked into booking, kids younger than the shoes you were wearing, and you'd think about the cars they drove, the apartments they kept, the way they looked at you like you were the one who didn't understand how the world worked. Maybe they were right. Maybe you were the fool who played by rules that nobody above or below you actually believed in anymore. The bust that changes everything goes textbook perfect. Coordinated entry, multiple arrests, a table full of seized product that makes the evening news. You're logging evidence with a junior agent who can't count. You catch the discrepancy. 8 kilos unaccounted for, floating in the gap between reality and paperwork. You stand there. You think about your daughter's birthday present sitting unbought on some shelf somewhere. You think about your credit card statements, about ibuprofen as a substitute for shoulder surgery you can't afford. You think about the oath on the wall of the break room that you've walked past so many times it stopped registering. And then you think nobody saw. The call you make that night is to someone you've worked as a source for years, a mid-level fence who knows how to move product without making noise. You tell him what you have. He laughs at your number and offers you less. You take it because the alternative is putting that cocaine back in the log and pretending you're still the man you were this morning. The handoff is 90 seconds in a parking garage. Gym bag of cash, product changes hands. You drive home shaking like you're running a fever, and you probably are. Just not the kind medicine fixes. The money sits untouched in your closet for 3 days. You keep waiting for the knock. Internal affairs, your supervisor, anyone. But the knock never comes. The discrepancy gets blamed on the junior agent's sloppy paperwork. He gets a written warning. You get away clean. And that, right there, is where it actually ends. Even though it feels like a beginning, you pay your bills, you fix your car, you buy your daughter a gift she actually wanted, and watch her face light up in a way it hasn't in years. For 2 weeks, you feel like a man who figured something out, like you found a door in a wall everyone else thought was solid. 2 weeks. Then you're back in an evidence room, and your partner isn't there, and the numbers don't add up again. This time it's 12 kilos, $90,000 in the math of a man who's already crossed the line once and knows exactly how soft the ground is on the other side. You tell yourself you won't do it. Then your daughter's mother calls about braces. Then you remember the surgery. Then you do it. The second time is quieter in your head, no shaking on the drive home. No 3 days of paralysis. You're already someone else now, and that someone else is frighteningly calm. Over the following months, you get methodical. You learn the patterns, which busts produce gaps, which junior agents make the kind of clerical errors that gift wrap themselves. How to spread buyers so no single thread leads back to you. You build something, a parallel economy running underneath your federal salary, and it starts to dwarf it. Your partner, 7 years side by side, the man who still reads the academy oath like scripture, he starts noticing small things. Not the money, you're careful about that. But the way you volunteer for evidence runs, the way you always seem to find a reason to handle the count. He makes a joke one night over drinks. You laugh, he laughs. His eyes linger on yours a half second too long. You look away first. $400,000 in 6 months. Better apartment. Back child support paid off. Your daughter thinks you turned a corner. Your ex-wife stops interrogating your bank account because she's just relieved the calls about overdue payments stopped. You feel bulletproof. You've built something invisible and you're running it from inside the institution that's supposed to catch people exactly like you. That's when the product finds you. Not dramatically. No needle in a dark alley. Just a quiet question from the man who moves your supply, sitting in a car, a mirror on the center console, white lines almost glowing under the dome light. He tells you that you don't understand what you're selling until you've tried it. He says it like it's professional advice. Your hand doesn't shake when he passes you the rolled bill. That's what you'll remember later. Not the burn, not the drip, not the freight train clarity that hits 4 minutes after. What you'll remember is that your hand was steady. That the man who used to scrape addicts off bathroom tile leaned down without hesitation, because somewhere along the way, that man stopped existing. The high fades in hours. The crash is a kind of grief. The only remedy is more. Within weeks, you're maintaining, not chasing. Within months, you're doing bumps in the parking lot before morning briefings, running on chemical confidence that everybody in the room seems to find oddly impressive, because you've never been so articulate, so quick, so on. But bodies keep accounts. The weight falls off. Sleep becomes a rumor. Your hands develop a tremor you try to explain as caffeine. Your partner watches you deteriorate in real time and says nothing because he's still making excuses for you in his head, still hoping the explanation is something he can live with. It comes apart the way everything in your life has, slowly and then all at once. A routine audit. Someone up the chain who's actually good at math. Discrepancies across multiple operations that form a pattern no amount of clerical error explanations will cover. You find out through a source, and you have exactly one night to decide who you want to be when the door opens in the morning. You sit in your car outside the federal building with your service weapon in your lap. The metal is cold. Your finger rests on the guard, not the trigger. You stay there for 20 minutes while your whole life plays out on the inside of your eyelids. Your daughter's face, her mother's face, your partner's face with those eyes that stayed on you a beat too long. Then a quieter voice than the panic, smaller but steadier. What if you just stop? Not with a bullet. Just stop running. You holster the weapon, you walk inside, you wait in the hallway outside your supervisor's office until he arrives. When he sees you sitting there, he doesn't look surprised. He unlocks his door and steps aside, and the confession takes 40 minutes. You don't leave anything out. He doesn't arrest you on the spot. He reaches for a legal pad and asks if you're willing to wear a wire. He tells you that the man you've been selling to has been a priority target for 2 years, and that you just became the best asset the agency has. The deal on the table is not good. You lose everything. But you don't lose the next 20 years to federal prison. You take it. 3 months of psychological warfare follow, meeting with your buyers, smiling. Building cases against yourself while a recording device breathes against your chest. Staying sober through withdrawal that makes the cocaine highs feel like memories from someone else's life. Sweating, shaking, the kind of paranoia that turns every shadow into a federal agent, which is ironic because you used to be one. Your partner becomes your handler. 7 years of friendship reduced to nightly debriefs where he asks operational questions and you give operational answers, clinical, precise. And at the end, sometimes after the recorder clicks off, he just looks at you. Not with rage. With something heavier than rage. Disappointment from someone who spent months constructing explanations for you that weren't true. One night you ask him why he covered for you early on, why he didn't say something. He tells you he kept hoping he was wrong, that you were burned out, going through something temporary. He says the hardest thing wasn't finding out who you turned out to be. It was realizing how long he'd been making excuses to avoid seeing it. You don't have anything to say to that. You just nod and leave. The arrests happen on a Tuesday morning. 15 locations hit simultaneously. Your buyers, the network, everyone. You watch from a command van as the man who handed you that first gym bag gets walked out in handcuffs. He looks directly at the camera. The moment he figures it out, he doesn't look angry. He looks almost impressed. He gives you a small, sad smile that says he should have known. He gets 40 years. He'll die inside. You testify for 6 days. You burn every name, every location, every transaction you ever ran. 17 people go to federal prison. You surrender your badge in a conference room. Your partner is one of 3 witnesses. He watches you, set it on the table, reaches across and shakes your hand once. Firm, brief, done. He walks out without looking back. Your pension disappears into paperwork. Your name appears in local news beside the word corrupt. They use your academy photo where you're 26 and certain that you know what you're doing. You move to a different state. Security guard, night shift, minimum wage. You're 47 years old and you are starting from below zero. Some nights, sitting at the desk watching empty hallways on a monitor, you catch yourself doing the math on the other version. The beach, the escape, the life Diego offered. Then you pull up your daughter's social media instead, and you look at her face, and she's smiling, really smiling, the kind that doesn't perform for the camera. And you understand that she's okay. Not because of you, in spite of you. And maybe that's what you get to call the beginning of something. You close your phone, 4 more hours on the shift, empty hallways, locked doors. Your partner got promoted. You looked him up. He deserved it. He always deserved better than what you gave him. You destroyed your career. You burned the relationships that held your life in shape. You became, for a time, exactly the kind of man you spent a decade hunting, and you'll carry that. Every day, you carry it, but you're here, sober. Choosing every morning not to go back. That's not redemption. Redemption has a warmth to it that you're not sure you've earned yet, but it's a direction. And for now, in this quiet hallway, at this silent desk, in this small and honest life, a direction is enough.